Aloha. Well, you're about to see a remarkable piece of television journalism. In the past 3 years, Hawaii News Now has made coverage of the homeless a priority, and we've been looking forward to reporting a story just like this one about a potential dramatic solution instead of just another problem. Prescribing Hope is about a small but dedicated team of people, a doctor and outreach workers who are dedicated to helping the most helpless victims of this crisis, people with severe mental illness. Now, the Institute for Human Services team is making innovative use of a long-acting medication that can be transformational for people who until now have literally been slowly dying on our streets. And they know that if they can be successful with these folks, not only will they be saved, but so will the cost to all of us for caring for them while they're hopeless. It's a story about remarkable patience, compassion, and persistence, and in the end, hopefulness. Hawaii News Now reporter Allyson Blair was invited to follow this process, which she did for more than 6 months. And together with photographer and editor Joey Kirstein, they not only followed the personal stories of the patients and the street medicine team, they looked into the controversy behind the use of this drug and asked why other methods like court intervention have failed to help these vulnerable people. You know, we're grateful to the Institute for Human Services, Hawaii's biggest nonprofit provider, for hosting Hawaii News Now on this journey, and Art Ushijima and the Queen's Health Systems for their vision and support. But most of all, the patients who agreed to let us tell their personal stories. We believe this important half hour will be valuable to you and to our community as we all struggle to understand and ultimately solve the many facets of this crisis. You know, it's also compelling and powerful television that will move you and perhaps move our community to more action in caring for these people who need help the most. So mahalo for joining us.
Prescribing Hope, a Homeless in Hawaii special report, is sponsored by the Queen's Health Systems, keeping the health of Hawaii strong.
We see people who are very severely mentally impaired.
I can't speak when there are spies around.
We're not talking about drug-induced psychosis.
I actually been staying on the street since, living outdoors. I've been staying outdoors.
This is my apartment.
Usually solitary, usually pushing their carts around or just lying on the sidewalk, talking to themselves.
They're laying out there in their feces and their urine. They don't know where to go.
There's no way these people are going to get help. They don't even believe they're mentally ill. Why would they do that?
Somebody could have put needles in my leg in my sleep because you see got markings.
Would you ever take psychiatric medications?
No, I won't. I'm not crazy enough.
If someone walked up to you on the street and asked to give you a shot, your first reaction would probably be to get away. But that's the concept behind a new program targeting homeless people with mental illness on Oahu. For those who say yes, their transformations are unlike anything you can imagine. Crouched in a hole behind the bus stop at the corner of Kapiolani and McCully, Donna Aborto is a fixture at Judd Park. No one's certain how long she's lived there. Some estimate at least 15 years. Her last known address dates back more than 2 decades to an apartment on Date Street, just a few blocks away. Donna remembers her home there, but when we met back in March, she was oblivious to the many years she'd been sleeping in a hole she dug in the back of the park.
I haven't been there that long, maybe, for a short while.
Justin and I met Donna about 4 years ago.
She was kind of dirty, and she reminded me of a gypsy.
Dr. Chad Koyanagi diagnosed the 60-year-old with schizophrenia, a debilitating mental disorder that affects how a person thinks, feels, and acts.
People with schizophrenia can have auditory hallucinations or delusional thinking, believing people are trying to harm them.
Donna would strip down naked in the park. She would use a restroom anywhere.
She didn't have the voices or the delusional thinking per se. She had more of the kind of disorganized behavior, and obviously it affected her overall self-care.
Size 7.
I can bring you some clothes today at 3 o'clock.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Would that be okay?
Yes, sir.
Every week for the past 4 years, a team from the state's largest homeless service provider, the Institute for Human Services, has paid Donna a visit. After countless offers, she's finally agreed to taking psychiatric medication.
You're gonna give us an injection, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, now I'll take off my jacket.
The first shot was the big hurdle, and to my surprise, she was fairly agreeable to doing it.
You ready, Donna?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you're gonna feel a little pinch here.
Ben was more vocal. He would yell. He could be violent at times. You're talking about somebody who was on the sidewalk, karate chopping, harassing anybody that walks past.
In the 10 years Ben Tapara has been living on the streets of Kapahulu, his body has withered away to almost nothing. IHS outreach worker Venetia Bertola had a hard time getting through to him.
You couldn't hold a conversation with Ben.
I'm an undercover federal drug agent. I had cocaine coming in from airline stewardesses.
The 62-year-old is also schizophrenic. He's been off of his meds for years and copes with his illness by using drugs.
I'm under the influence of crystal methamphetamine right now.
Methamphetamine has a very devastating effect on their psychosis. Main thing I'm worried about.
For 5 years, outreach workers tried to convince Ben to check into shelter. His answer was always no, until he was persuaded to get back on his meds. But this time, no daily pills.
Someone who doesn't believe they're mentally ill is probably not going to take pills, especially if they're not housed. This medication comes in a shot now, which is called Invega Sustenna.
The injection is administered once a month.
When I'm running down the road, trying to enter my load, I got something on my mind.
2.5 months after Ben's first dose, he was getting off the street.
This is my three belongings I got right here.
You're gonna take it with you.
Correct.
When you go into the house, you can't bring any drugs with you.
I'm not going to do drugs in the
Promise?
household. I promise.
Okay. When we go in,
Yes.
we're gonna introduce you to the staff there.
Okay.
They're gonna be there 24 hours a day for you.
Okay.
You have to still continue to work with me
All the time.
and take your medication so that we can stay on track. Can I carry a bag for you? You ready, buddy?
You want to go for a ride today?
What are you guys doing?
Within weeks of starting her meds, outreach workers begin seeing a change in Donna. Her clothes are dirty, but no longer covered in urine and feces.
First, the hygiene gets better, then the interpersonal ability to connect gets better.
You gonna give me an ID or something?
We're gonna try. We're gonna get your birth certificate. She's in this phase where she's growing and becoming, you know, a little bit more functional, a little bit more stabilized.
the degree to which we could discuss matters of linking her up with case management, housing, benefits, all skyrocketed after her being on the shot for a couple months.
Here you go.
Outreach workers helped Donna get her social security card, birth certificate, and state ID. Although she refuses to sleep at a shelter, she does want housing. And with her paperwork in order, she is finally starting the process of getting her own place.
Now she's very aware. She remembers my name. She remembers what we did the week before. She remembers plans for the future, what we did in the past. It's completely different.
How's your arm? You ready to do push-ups?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It's gonna be right this way, buddy.
2.5 months after his first shot, Ben left Kapahulu Avenue for a bed at Tutu Burt's, a shelter for folks who are medically frail.
Hey.
To respect other residents' privacy, our camera stayed outside.
Did Bridget call you?
Oh, that's the intake.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did. Oh, okay. I'm gonna do the intake right now then.
Can we show him around really quickly?
What do you think, Ben? We're gonna stay?
Acceptable.
Acceptable?
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
But moments after grabbing his bags, Ben started having second thoughts.
I need cash. What am I gonna do?
I don't know what we're gonna do about that, Ben.
You mean you're not giving me cash?
We're gonna help you with the grocery part.
Yeah, but what do I do? Do I go out in the road and start panhandling again? Right.
Love, you have everything you need here.
What am I gonna do for money?
Ben, you'll be fine.
Ben's case managers had serious doubts he'd stay. But a month later, he'd settled in.
He's doing awesome. As he was medicated and we gained more encounters with him, it was obvious that this is a man that just needed medication and help.
1, 2, 3.
But
There you go.
Ben had put on a decent amount of weight and his violent tendencies were gone. But in conversation, he was hard to follow.
I used to work in a nightclub, and we used to do cocaine. But, you know, I know world professional surfers.
He also struggled with old habits.
How are you doing with the crystal meth?
I did some. I did crystal meth, $10 worth.
So last week you told us you did $5 worth.
Correct.
This week you said you did $10 worth.
Correct.
If we're gonna help you get housed and come here and get your medications, I don't want you to do those drugs. There's no need for you to do them when you're here.
But I cannot produce the music.
You'll do just fine. Your music will be just as beautiful as it's
So
been.
you want me to just abolish crystal meth and then...
Stop doing all of that bad stuff.
I've been hearing voices since 1989. They talk to me all day. The shots have given me motivation to ignore the voices that I hear.
6 months after Ben Tapara took his first dose of schizophrenia medication, he was almost unrecognizable.
My favorite food, steak and onions.
Today, he has no trouble holding a conversation. His transformation has even amazed his caseworkers.
They take this shot and it's like a completely different person. They can talk to you, they're your friend.
He's enrolled in treatment for his addiction to meth, and for the first time in years, Ben is clean.
I want to thank the people for helping me.
right, you ready to go see your new place?
Yes.
Yeah? Yep. Ooh, look how nice it is. Wow, it has carpet and everything in here for you, Donna. It's very pretty. Look, you got your own bed.
It's the main paycheck to your work, you know, that's the reward, is they get housing.
This is all yours.
I like it.
So I shouldn't see you back at the bus stop anymore. No more.
After nearly 2 decades on the street, Donna Aborto moved into her own apartment.
This is wonderful.
A Housing First voucher covered the cost of the unit. The furniture was donated.
You excited?
Yeah.
Yeah? It's been years since she's seen or been in a place of her own, so I'm sure it was a lot for her to take in all at once.
I feel overjoyed about it. I wish there was someone I could share with.
What's in there? We're gonna get you some.
I was really grateful that today went off without a hitch. It's very happy. But to be honest with you, our work begins now.
Yeah. We're gonna get you some more stuff. And you got some containers in here. What else do you have in here?
So this is your keys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fiona Allo is an Institute for Human Services housing specialist. It's her job to make sure Donna doesn't end up back on the street.
Okay. So when you leave the house, you lock it from the inside. Any complaints or anything that the landlord has to address, that's where we come in. You okay?
Yes.
If there's a problem, she's available 24 hours a day. But her main focus is to help Donna transition away from her old lifestyle.
I have a feeling that Donna's been homeless so long that she probably doesn't know how to use a microwave. She probably doesn't know how to do basic things like wash her clothes, budget her account. So we've got to go back now and start working from there and start teaching her those things.
So you're unit number 2, okay? This is number 2, okay? There you go. Okay?
Yes, okay.
Okay? And then you, the other way. This way, there you go.
It's actually a shot, not a pill.
No.
No?
Still ahead, the debate over which patients should be prescribed the medication and why they can't be forced to take the shot.
How have you been doing in the house so far, Ben?
Plus, after decades of being homeless, are Donna Aborto and Ben Tapara still off the street? Prescribing Hope, a Homeless in Hawaii special report, continues after this.
Hawaii News Now is the only local news team to win 2 2017 Emmy Awards. Best Morning News for Hawaii News Now Sunrise and Best Evening News for Hawaii News Now at 6. Your source is Hawaii News Now.
We chose Queens to deliver our baby. They supported me through my cancer journey.
Queens saved my dad's life when he had a stroke.
The Queens Health Systems, providing statewide preventive and specialty care backed by Hawaii's healthcare leader when it matters most. We are Queens, keeping the health of Hawaii strong.
See all of Hawaii News Now's continuing coverage of Hawaii's homeless crisis. Go to the Homeless in Hawaii Special Reports section on hawaiinewsnow.com or get the free Hawaii News Now app, available in the App Store and Google Play.
Any heart stuff going on? The It's really important that folks understand that the amount of time and effort that this takes.
Every Wednesday for 5 years, the Institute for Human Services Psychiatric Street Medicine team tracked down both Donna and Ben to offer help. In both cases, it took about 250 individual encounters before they agreed to take medication for their schizophrenia.
Any side effects to the medication?
Whenever you're trying to help someone who's mentally ill, who doesn't want help, you pretty much aren't going to be able to help them, at least under the law.
Hey, hello. How are you, Jeanette? Hey, look at your leg. Your leg's getting worse.
I'm trying to dry it out.
Oh.
Once it oozes like kind of creamy beige color, I'm supposed to stop the sun.
Dr. Chad Koyanagi has been visiting Jeanette since he was in med school 20 years ago. She suffers from schizophrenia because she's paranoid of people we filmed from a distance.
This thing turned color yesterday.
That one looks really bad, like the infection is going up your legs.
The 54-year-old has always refused help, only taking food and some basic medical supplies.
We really want to help you get off the streets. The medication that Chad has is going to help you a lot. It's going to block out all the voices and people irritating you.
I don't understand. I gotta go on. Hello.
Try.
It's okay.
Our laws here really definitely protect people's rights, but they do not promote access to mental health treatment very well for someone who is mentally ill and doesn't know that they're mentally ill.
Hawaii is one of 46 states that passed laws allowing the courts to step in and provide treatment for people incapacitated by mental illness. But the law is rarely used in the islands. There are only 2 known cases. Homeless advocates say lawmakers need to make it easier to help this vulnerable population.
If a doctor, a panel of physicians could determine that this person needs treatment, maybe we don't even need the courts, in that particular instance. I think a lot of people don't realize how mental health treatment has changed over the years.
A few decades ago, psychiatric medication left many patients feeling drugged.
Today we have medications that are far more targeted, a lot less side effects, and just a lot more effective.
The injection IHS uses has only been around about a decade. Currently, there's debate over which patients should be prescribed the drug. Because of its cost, some psychiatrists believe it should be reserved for the most violent cases. But Dr. Koyanagi says the shot should be a first-line therapy, calling it one of the most effective treatments available.
You can sometimes see the positive results happening within a few weeks of getting the first loading doses of the shot.
But IHS says if their work is going to make any kind of noticeable impact in the community, they need help. The goal is to have a psychiatrist working with an outreach team in every region on Oahu.
It's going to take more personnel, it's going to take more coordination with the community as well as among other service providers to really make it happen.
It's also going to take more money, an estimated $4 million a year to expand island-wide. That would cover the cost of staffing and medication. Shots for uninsured patients run close to $800 a pop. Dr. Koyanagi calls it an investment.
In terms of the improvements to one's functioning, reduction in healthcare costs because of their other health conditions that don't get treated, or frequent ER visits or arrests, to me the cost of these shots for these patients is well worth it. Oh, your hat is infected too.
No, I poked it with a needle yesterday.
The cost of caring for those high-needs homeless patients continues to grow. The Queens Medical Center provided over $16 million of care last year on treatment for homeless people who are mentally ill. That's about 2.5 times what it was in 2011. While the hospital is partially reimbursed by insurance companies, it's forced to absorb much of the cost. Since IHS launched its psychiatric street medicine program in January, through donations, they've been able to treat a total of 20 people. So far, 17 have gotten into housing. The other 3 are expected to be off the street in the next few months.
We understand that medications is kind of the key to this process.
Hey, Good morning.
We can go out and give somebody who's homeless on the streets all the Social Security benefits they want. But if we're not giving them medication and housing, we're not really helping them.
So Jeanette, how are your legs doing?
How you doing, girl?
Smile.
I am blessed with crystal methamphetamine. This is where I stay.
Anyone who has lived on Oahu for the past 10 years knows that we are in the midst of the worst behavioral health crisis we ever faced. Seeing an individual with debilitating mental health disease for myself has become just as common outside of the emergency department as it is inside. And I understand this can be frightening to many who have never been in such close proximity to severe mental illness. At the Queens Medical Center Emergency Department, mental health diagnoses such as schizophrenia and psychosis are the #1 diagnosis for homeless encounters and have only steadily increased over the past 5 years. What Dr. Koyanagi, Justin, Venetia, and all of Connie's team members at IHS have accomplished with treating and housing homeless individuals with severe mental illness needs to be recognized and replicated. Oahu is simply at a tipping point where community resources are being stretched to the limits by those who are homeless. And as a community of homeless leaders, we need to continue working together as a coalition and support successful models that impact the 200+ individuals with severe mental illness living in our streets and parks.
Prescribing Hope, a Homeless in Hawaii special report, is sponsored by the Queens Health Systems, keeping the health of Hawaii strong.